So Maria KOŽARINA will remind us about two very important things which are basis for everything. And she will speak about tolerance and also unity. And that can be like a safety cushion. And she is head of the society Socintegra. We understand two words this title is formed from, but in what areas are you talking about this integration?
Hello, can you hear me? Socintegra consists of two words, social integration. And when working with people, so hello one more time, colleagues. Sometimes our lives are like labyrinth. It is difficult to go around, and what if the maze is in the dark? My name is Marija KOŽARINA. I lead Socintegra, and I work with blind people. Our mission is to socially integrate blind people and to ensure them accessibility. I'm a specialist of universal design and environmental accessibility, and we organize all kinds of events by involving blind people. Our association works from 2010, and since then we use technologies how to make best and what to use best in order to create tactile cards. We experiment, we look for all kinds of options, and since 2014 we created a typography studio, and we create tactile objects. Tactile objects are those who can be read with your fingertips. From 2018, we use audio description or short description of tactile objects. And this year we have a new product. I am going to talk about it. It's interactive tactile card uniting tactile information, visual information, and sound. In order to create a good tactile card, you have to follow several principles. First of all, there has to be a relief or an imprint that one can read. It can be in Braille language, or it can contain some signs. All information should be in a simplified format. One can use also pictograms, and every object has its separate topic. One should not use additional information because that might be puzzling for blind people. We also think about people with visual impairments. That's why you have to keep contrast. And we apply universal design principles. Our all production can be used visually and by your fingertips, so that can be used by all people, not only by blind people. Also, it's very important how to place this information. People now are used that by the door there are tactile signs, as well as marking on a railing. Marking on a railing can be like this, like a stick with the number of floor. And now I show you objects that we create. Also, there can be metal signs or signs on or by the door. We can adapt to any design, and we can use Braille letters in contrast colors, not only transparent, kind of a design element. Tactile cards. Here you can see on the screen contrasting colors depicted plan of a building. Sometimes clients do want to have simple letters, not to use a specific font. But one shouldn't use too many different kinds of letters. For example, in Riga terminal, bus terminal, it is this sign contains too many elements, too much text, and no one is standing there reading it. Also, we had a project with Riga municipality. It is usual information with ordinary stand, but one can notice that there is a transparent layer with tactile information, and we use those very often together in events with our clients. But it turned out there are two things. First, one can read it, but at the same time, how to do the maintenance of it. Because in Riga parks, this information is getting very dirty. So if you decide to place an object with Braille sign, it should be maintained and clean on a regular basis. Also, you can adapt nature path information. Also, information can be placed over. One can understand how long it will take to walk. And in the last picture, I wanted to show that we print out in simple letters, and on top there is a transparent Braille, which is not obstacle to people without vision impairments. According to Latvian legislation, every public building should be adapted for blind people. And clients are using this document, Environmental Accessibility Guidelines, created in 2012. What we read there, in page 64, it is written as those are guidelines, those are recommendations, but clients very often consider them to be mandatory. And they ask for letters and figures to be with a relief no less than 1 millimeter. But today we use modern technologies allowing us to foresee a smaller relief, which is enough for blind people. All our products are being tested by our colleagues, by blind people. And now I will tell you a bit from our practice, some examples. And now there will be a quest. See, the two triangles, as if for us, those are very similar. They differ because one is a bit in an angle. But let's imagine for a blind person, they don't see a difference. For me, I can understand that this might mean a woman's toilet, and this might mean an arrow or a part of an arrow. For me, it's enough. I will understand what it means. Most probably, this is a toilet, and this is a part of an arrow. But for blind people, this has to be completed with necessary objects. Recently, I had an object, and one wanted to ask stickers. And here's a question: what is it? Imagine a blind person is touching this sign, one line, second smaller line, and a triangle. It is interesting what it is. Difficult to say. I will show you two more. H and G. Most probably the first is letter I now, and I can see all of those. And about the arrow, I most probably understand that the arrow is there, but what's in the middle? That's a design element. And it's good if I can see it. I can understand that this is a design element. But imagine for a blind person, when touching, I would never understand it. What is meant by it, especially now. This is the last picture. Here I understand that those are markings, seat markings. Most probably these are seats, H, G, and I. But a blind person, most probably, when touching the first sign, he or she will never understand. It's sometimes better not to stick a wrong, full, or misguiding sticker at all. Now, imagine a new electric train has to be adapted for blind people. There are signs like this. Most probably you have seen signs like this somewhere. What do they mean? This means that you should not throw waste there, and this is the place for waste. Customer wants to adapt those signs for blind people. How can we adapt them? Most probably write a braille. Where should we place it? On or next to or on the bin, or on the toilet itself. I believe that is very bad. It's very bad if a person has to touch a waste bin or a toilet itself. Unfortunately, I cannot change anything, but because the customer has already agreed to this project, unfortunately, we could not do anything about it. Now there are such trains with such signs on toilets and on waste bins. I always like to work with museum people. They are very creative. My first client was one museum. I'm not going to name them. I was so happy because it's a museum. I'm going to have a project, and they ordered signs for railings for several stories. Okay, they as if adopted a museum, and that is it. It is good. They have ticked a box because they have adopted their museum, but who is going to go to a museum just to read the numbers of the floors? There were nothing else in Braille language. What we can offer? We can offer 3D prints. Also, we can offer tactile touchable objects, also leaflets in a paper format. For example, a person can use this paper information booklet where he or she can read in Braille signs what is in the room and how the room looks like. Also, we offer Tiflo commentaries. We have heard that there are audio guides in museum, but they are different from Tiflo comments, because for Tiflo comments we use visual descriptions, and we shortly describe visual objects. And the last interactive tactile objects. I'm going to tell you in a minute what it is. I will show you what we print with 3D printer. This is a part of Freedom Monument, Riga architecture, the big gilt house. This is an example with Jugla region. Paper format map. Helping to understand the layout of a place. Also, what I wanted to show you, interactive tactile map. The basis is a digital map, and on top there is a transparent film with tactile map. So a blind person could understand the region where which street goes, and then by clicking twice on the street name is being pronounced. You can use it for a city plan, for a building plan. You can also make a graphic design or architecture design or anything else with a map. In summary, first, when you are planning to adapt environment for blind people, first of all, we have to know the legislation, the formal requirements for people with visual impairments. Second, I believe that you have to attract experts and consult experts. Also, you have to involve target audience, representatives of target audience. And third, you have to create about creative thinking, much wider, much more innovative than the official one. If you have any questions, you can write us Socintegra.lv. We have TikTok and Facebook accounts where we place information on video format, and all our projects are there. If you have any questions, you can call me. My name is MARIJA KOŽARINA. And thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Marija. Those specific examples were very important. I believe that many professionals evaluate them very highly. For example, architects, they consider most probably inviting you when planning the construction of a building. You already mentioned that something is being written in guidelines, but the guideline is not a law. Law is mandatory. What if in the nearest 5 years we required or the guidelines required basic information, all the public information in urban environment is being in addition added by Braille signs. All the information that is on an informative desk has to have also information for blind people. Is it possible, or there are so many buts and ifs, etc.? It doesn't come for free, answers Marija. But there's a question whether all the information has to be interpreted. Most probably not. But part of the information should be interpreted. We can also adapt existing information. For example, we can stick on top transparent transparent information in Braille. But if you're planning a new project, then already during the planning period, you should consult, because adaptation is an adaptation. To attach a sticker with a floor number is one thing, but what we can do a lot if planning in advance. It is very difficult for blind people to go somewhere, then to read a number of the floor, and that's it. So we can sit together with any planner, with any customer, and decide. Some years ago, the tram said out loud all the stops. And now not all the public buses inform about next stop. Maybe the elevator could say out loud which floor is there. Sometimes there are cheap technologies that can be used, or long forgotten technologies. There are some objects that doesn't have to be adapted. Yes, most definitely. I showed you a picture about a door plaque which is in plastic. I can understand, I can touch it by itself because it is already informational. But speaking about the sound information, yes, indeed, there are technologies that exist, and we cannot imagine even that blind people can be helped by it. Thank you, Marija. I believe that people will look for your help in their situation where you will have to come to aid, not you alone, but also your experts, your colleagues, blind people. We have a team. I work also as an expert. I provide those services. Also, we have all kinds of experts who are helping us to create all the objects, and they are the ones who can test it. This object is good, this is lacking, this is too much, etc. It is very important. Make